Alright guys, we're here with another review. This week we are with the Hyundai i30 N Sedan, or in other parts of the world, it's also known as the Hyundai Elantra N. Now, it is Hyundai's last N non-electric sports car. And what I mean by that is that they are focusing on electrification and electrified sports performance, meaning that this is the last for at least another couple of years until they switch everything to electric in the N lineup. So take that as you may, and if you have been waiting to get one of these, maybe umming and ahhing, sitting on the fence, this is definitely the car for you to get. It sounds incredible. We'll show you a couple of the segments later on around the exhaust, around the noise, and more importantly, how gorgeous does this styling and the overall look come across on the N sedans and the Ns in general. So without further ado, let's talk about power. Let's pop the bonnet. Power, there's plenty of it on tap. It's 206 kilowatts of power, 392 Newton meters of torque, and you have the option of either a 6-speed manual transmission, which I would say you would be foolish not to buy because it is just the most fun transmission, and manuals in general just make everything more fun. Or you could be boring and you could buy the 8-speed DCT wet transmission. I would personally just buy the manual. The manual's fun. It's going to make it what it is, which is a sports car. And it's still a surprisingly easy manual to drive as a daily. In terms of the power outputs that I mentioned before, they come from a 2-litre turbo petrol engine. And the other great part about this is that this particular car comes with a non-competitive track use warranty, which means if you aren't racing on a track and you're taking it as an enthusiast, because on a weekend you bought this car and you want to go on the weekend out to a track and just have a bit of fun, you can take it on the track, and if something does fail that is covered by the manufacturer's warranty, they will cover you as part of that. So check their terms and conditions, check with Hyundai Australia and the dealership around the limitations to that warranty. But it is more than most other brands when it comes to any of their performance cars. So Hyundai actually stands by their performance cars. Pretty big. Outside of that, there's not much else to show you under here. Like I said, it's a 2-litre turbo, it's 206 kilowatts of power, 392 Newton meters of torque, and just absolutely sounds amazing, and has a nice crackle and pop exhaust for the N mode. So we'll show you that in a second. Big fan, as you've seen in some of my other reviews, of these flat and non-silver badges. So the fact they've gone a matte black and it's just part of the front fascia just makes it look just a little bit nicer in my opinion. And of course, just having an engine that sounds amazing is everything that a performance car should be. Now, I've driven a lot of electric vehicles. Yes, some of them can go 0 to 100 in 3.8 seconds. Some can go even faster than that. I think the last one I drove was 0 to 100 in 2.9 seconds. But they all just, they lack that little bit of something that something like the Hyundai i30N can give you. And the i30N is just enough in the city that you're going to have a bit of fun, you're going to play around without necessarily risking your license or thinking that you're about to go sideways into a tree. So just the perfect combination of just an all-round sports car for city and daily use, as well as having a bit of fun on a track or a mountain run on a weekend. So let's move to the rest of the car. So down here you'll have 19-inch alloy wheels that are blackened. You'll also have some of that red that you find on the bottom of the front bumper carrying across the whole way on the side, just giving it a little bit of difference and differentiation for the N version of the sedan versus the standard Hyundai i30 or Elantra, depending on where you are in the world. In this review, we'll cover a little bit of the usability and the daily functions. If you want to go and watch track use of the car, it's probably not the right video for you. There are plenty of those guys that have done really good track use reviews, and I would highly recommend you check out those reviews if that's what you want to know. Moving to the rear of the car. Now, as a daily, it would be absolutely useful if it could actually carry some stuff. So let's check out what the boot is like. It's massive, so big in fact. But if you wanted to get inside, you actually have this much space in here. So you have enough space to actually carry luggage, suitcases, which are a type of luggage, I guess, shopping, prams, strollers, whatever you want to be. So if you want to be a hot hatch, hot sedan, hot parent, you definitely can do this. If you want to be a daily executive that's running to and from meetings, that you then have also got to carry some business samples and commercial goods in the back, you can do that. Or if you want to drive Uber and just have the coolest Uber in town, you could probably even do it in this. So check that out. But plenty of space in the back here, and that is one thing I absolutely love with the i30N. If you're wondering why I'm standing funny, I corked my leg trying to get back out, but still stand by my statement, it has plenty of room. The other great thing is it does have a spare tire. A lot of performance cars and a lot of cars in general nowadays are going for tire replacement kits or tire inflation kits. Sorry, not tire replacement kits. So with the tire inflation kits, they're just kind of useless. So you're gonna have to wait for a tow truck to come get you, because most of the time when you do something, you know, on a track or maybe on a longer run, it's not gonna be a puncture. It's gonna be that your sidewall blew out or something like that. So having a spare tire is just an absolute godsend, especially with the peace of mind if you want to travel to and from track days, whatever you want to do, it's going to do it. A little bit of lining up here just to keep the noise out of the cabin, but not enough that you're going to get rid of the beautiful exhaust sound. So that's one thing that is quite nice. However, it is quite loud outside versus the inside of the car. So inside, you're not going to get that really annoying drone that you get from, you know, performance cars or exhausts. It's been tuned so nicely, as well as then sound deadened inside to a point that is a nice compromise between still hearing the well-tuned exhaust to making it bearable for day-to-day peak hour commuting if you live in a very confined, slow-moving, traffic-heavy city commute. So that's great. The spoiler, it's subtle, it's well-designed, it flows well with the rest of the lines of the car, and it's not oversized and impractical. So while you may not be able to sit on your boot and have dinner with your legs dangling out the back, it's gonna actually do what it needs to do, and it's gonna look nice as well. Tail lights are absolutely gorgeous in design. They start with almost this H pattern that we're starting to see across most Hyundais at the moment, where you get a vertical line down here and then the horizontal crossbar that lights up and ends in the vertical line on the right-hand side, just making it a very distinctive rear end for you to have. Down here, you have an unpainted finish and rear parking sensors. There's no 360-degree camera in this car. The focus is on weight saving and performance, rather than some of the tech that you may have got used to if you've come out of a more modern car. If you're coming out of another sports car into this, you're probably going to be on par with whatever you have there. Dual exhaust down the bottom, and they actually are functional, and that's one of the greatest parts about it. And a nicely designed rear diffuser at the bottom as well. So overall, the back end of this does look nice and sporty and is a good balance between practical and exciting. Let's have a look inside. So with the interior, you have a relatively bland interior. It's the one thing that the i30 has never really greatly differentiated itself from the rest of the i30 range when it comes to its interiors on the ends. That being said, it's focused for performance and track use, so does it really need to? Nice materials at the top here, soft touch materials here. You have two programmable memory seat settings for the driver's seat. Because it's electric in the sedan, you can actually program it if you're sharing the car with maybe your partner or maybe two drivers if you are using it on the track. Outside of that, just standard hard-wearing plastics down here and your windows and mirror controls all through this center section just here. Now, moving to the interior, you have a very nice leather-wrapped steering wheel. You have a steering wheel that's pretty straightforward in what it will do. So your volume and audio controls on the left-hand side with your Bluetooth. On the right-hand side, you have things like your lane keep assist and your steering controls for your cruise control, for example. One thing to note is the Australian models don't get the active or radar cruise control. That feature is reserved for cars with an electronic handbrake, and because the Australian model of the i30N features a manual handbrake, which a lot of people will love for track use, that's one thing that you have to compromise on for the rest. You still get other key features such as blind spot monitoring, rear collision alert, forward collision alert, all the collisions alerts. You still get all of those. It's just the cruise control that's adjustable and will follow the car in front. A couple of the N modes here that are programmable, but plus you also have your rev function feature here. So you have a number of different buttons and dials that will do a number of different things for you that are all in simple and easy to use locations. Further to this, indicators on the right hand side with auto on and off headlights, wipers on the left hand side with auto rain sensing wipers. Digital display in the center here, plus a 10.25 inch digital display on the left hand side, which will do your Apple CarPlay and your Android Auto. And outside of that, quite a nice clean environment to be in for a performance car. Now, let's come around to the center and we'll show you exactly what you get in the center. Now, moving through to the center, as mentioned, you have a digital display that has Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. You have manual controls here for your radio, which is fantastic. You have a push button start just over here to start and turn off the car. Plus your air conditioning controls are just here with 2 zones of comfort. So if you do share this car with a passenger princess that gets too hot or too cold, you're going to be able to adjust those temperatures nice and easily just there. A couple of comfort features that you may not expect from a car that is a performance and track-based car is that you also get heated and ventilated seats, which in the Australian summer, they are an absolute godsend. And in certain parts of Australia in the winter, the heating is going to be an absolute godsend as well. Now, these leather seats are absolutely stunning. They're well bolstered and they have an embossed N stitched into them as well. They are a driver adjustment is electric. And they do have the central airbags as well. So overall, a very comfortable and very well equipped cabin for a performance car. One thing with the sedan is the dual cup holders are quite deep and are quite nice. But then it has this really weird small cup that is designed to shorten the depth of that cup holder to only this much. So I'm not entirely sure why you would want it or what practical use you would have for it. Unless you love to spit tobacco and maybe you're spitting tobacco into here. It's probably one that you're going to put in the glove box or put inside the house and then lose and never see again. As I said, my choice for this car would be a manual transmission, which is a 6-speed manual. You do have a wireless charging pad down here, and because you still rely heavily on wired connections for Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, you will be pleased to know that you have a USB and USB-C connection point there, plus a 12-volt outlet should you wish to charge. In here you have a nice center console area that fits just enough for what you're going to need in this car without making it too kind of cluttered is the easiest way to put it. And this really weird design that with the i30 sedans, I've always, ever since they launched them, I've never really quite understood it. And it's, unless they designed it for the N, knowing that the N would need it, that's kind of the only model that I could see this actually being used in as like a little bit of a grab handle for the passenger. Outside of that, it's never really made much sense to me. So let me know what your thoughts are on this particular center here. It's not a killer of would I buy it, would I not buy it? I'd still absolutely buy this car. It's just never made sense to me. Outside of that, sunroof, because this is the optioned premium version with an optional sunroof. You don't have to have the sunroof version. You could have the standard version, which is a premium with no sunroof. So you get that option there, but the car we are reviewing does come with the optional sunroof. And let's jump in the back and have a look at what you get in there. Now, before I go on to the back, I did forget that the i30N in the sedan version actually comes with one of the widest configurable chassis on the market for the Hyundai range. And that means you can go in there and program things like the dampening and a few other things there to make this car incredibly comfortable for 9 to 5 daily driving, but then have a slightly harder shock when it comes to track use, for example, and a quieter exhaust for daily commutes or a louder exhaust for when you want a little bit more fun. So just worth pointing out that that's all configurable and programmable through that center console area, and it is absolute pleasure to be able to control exactly how you want your car set up. Now, in the back of the car, you are met with a surprisingly decent amount of legroom and headroom, and I can see why the i30 sedan is actually one of the more popular versions of this in a global sense, because it's a practical kind of family car slash mixed with enough of a bigger car to have your friends in. You still get decent headroom. This is the driver's seat at the easy in and out position, so it is the whole way back and I'm still okay. You have USB-C ports down here for charging, air conditioning vents down here. You do have a pocket down here. You don't have one on this side. And you do have two ISOFIX outlets on both sides of the seats. So you do have two child seats that you can put in the back if you wanted to. There's no armrest that pops down on the i30 N Sedan. So that is one little bit of a thing that I would say is, you know, maybe a little bit of a miss. And outside of that, it's a pretty comfortable place to be. Oh, and the one thing I was trying to reach back to point out is if you need child top tether points, they're directly behind the headrest on the rear parcel shelf in this car. So you're not going to lose any boot space or anything either. So it's quite a comfortable place to be. And as a daily commuter or a family car, it's probably the perfect balance between having a car that's fun and having a car that's also sensible. Now, the car is covered by Hyundai's 5-year unlimited kilometer warranty. And if you are using it for track, as long as it's not competitive use, as I mentioned earlier, you would actually be covered for the warranty on track use and track days. So my question is, would you buy an i30N over something like a Volkswagen Golf GTI or the GT range, or would you buy it over something like a Toyota GR Yaris or GR Corolla? Let me know in the comments what you think and if you'd buy one, and if you own one, let me know how your experience has been with one of the older i30Ns so far. For me, I absolutely love them. Every time I get into them, I just have an absolute blast and just find them incredibly comfortable and fun, but just, I don't know, like it makes it exciting to go in a world where most of the cars that we're testing are bland or just almost mundane because they do the same job and they're trying to do the exact same thing in the most sensible way. To have these outliers every now and then that come through, and they're just fun, exciting cars to drive that, you know, even if you're not taking it onto a track, are just going to make your daily commute just that little bit more special, that little bit more exciting. And I think that's one thing that we are definitely losing in the automotive world, where more cars are becoming more about practicality, more about, you know, environmental factors, and more about fuel efficiency, and you're losing that kind of uniqueness and individuality that has shaped so many generations of car ownership. So without further ado, thank you so much for watching, and let me know again if there's anything else that you want me to cover. If there's anything I missed in this, let me know in the comment section as well. And until next time, thank you for watching.